The movie begins with a young boy named Steve, who's fascinated by the idea of exploring the mines. But since he's just a kid, no one allows him to go in. Years go by, and after all that waiting, Steve finally grows up, and his dream comes true. He ventures into the mines, determined to fulfill his childhood ambition. While digging, he discovers an earth crystal and a mysterious orb. When he places a crystal inside the orb, a portal suddenly opens. Steve steps into the portal and finds himself in a completely different world. One where everything is square-shaped, like something out of a dream or a fantasy. This strange, magical realm is called the Overworld. What makes this world truly special is that whatever you imagine while living in it actually becomes real. For a creative soul like Steve, this was paradise. He decides to stay and build a life there. Along the way, he befriends a wolf dog who becomes his loyal companion. As the years go by, their bond deepens, and Steve constructs many incredible things in this world. One day, while working, Steve stumbles upon another portal. He accidentally activates it and steps through, only to find himself in a much darker dimension of the Overworld, known as the Netherland. Unlike the Overworld, this place has no creativity or joy. It's more like a nightmare. Soon after his arrival, Steve is captured by the Netherlands Queen, who seizes the Earth Crystal and the orb. It turns out she had been seeking them for a long time. Her goal? To destroy the Overworld, the very place that had once rejected her. Steve is horrified by her plan and realizes that he's the only one who can stop her. That night, Steve manages to trick the guards, escape, and steal back the crystal and orb. Risking his life, he puts the items in a bag and gives them to his dog, urging him to escape to Earth and hide them in Steve's room. The loyal dog races through the Netherland portal back to the Overworld, and then through the Overworld portal to Earth. Once there, he hides the orb exactly as Steve instructed, under the bed in Steve's room. Years pass, and the story shifts to a man named Garrett. He owns a small video game store, but business is slow and customers are scarce. He's struggling financially, and things get worse when he receives an eviction notice. Now, facing the loss of his store, Garrett is completely distraught. To save his gaming zone, Garrett needed money desperately. Determined to earn it any way he could, he came up with a plan. He'd invest the last of his savings in a storage container, hoping to find valuable items inside that he could sell for profit. Maybe that would be enough to save his shop. While inspecting a container, he stumbled upon an old video game called Cosmos, a classic from the past that used to be wildly popular. Garrett believed that if he could relaunch this game at his gaming zone, it might bring in enough customers to turn his luck around. Fueled by hope, he bought the container, dreaming of a second chance. But once again, luck wasn't on his side. Inside the container, he didn't find the Cosmos game, just a pile of old, useless junk. Disappointed, Garrett began sorting through it anyway, and among the discarded items, he found an orb and a crystal. He picked them up, not knowing they were originally from Steve's house and held incredible power. As Garrett was heading home with the orb and crystal, things got worse. His car broke down. Frustrated and out of patience, he stepped out and started shouting in anger. The scene cuts to a new character, a boy named Henry and his sister. Henry was a brilliant and imaginative kid, much like Steve. He loved to sketch out inventions and wild ideas in his drawing book before trying to bring them to life. Recently, he and his sister had moved into Garrett's neighborhood. One morning before school, Henry visited Garrett's gaming zone. He met Garrett there and was fascinated by all the stuff in the shop, but he didn't have much time to explore, so he rushed off to school. At school, during art class, the teacher asked the students to do a live drawing of a banana and an orange. Henry, naturally creative, drew the fruit, but added a jetpack to the banana in his sketch. The teacher wasn't pleased. In live drawing, students are expected to sketch exactly what's in front of them, not add their own twists. Henry got scolded, and his classmates laughed at him on his very first day. Angry and embarrassed, Henry became determined to prove himself. He decided to turn his banana jetpack sketch into a real working prototype. After working tirelessly, he built a jetpack and attached it to a skeleton for testing. He brought it to the schoolyard to show it off. A crowd gathered to watch. But just as he was about to demonstrate the invention, another student cut a wire. The jetpack malfunctioned, flew out of control, and crashed into a nearby snack factory, causing a huge scene. Once again, Henry became the target of ridicule. The school principal demanded that a family member be called in. Henry knew if his sister came, she'd get into trouble too. So he quickly called Garrett his new friend and begged him to pretend to be his uncle. He even offered to pay him $2,000 for favor. The moment Garrett heard the offer, he agreed. Garrett showed up, played the part, helped get Henry out of trouble, and then brought him back to the gaming zone. After arriving at the gaming zone, Henry checks his jetpack and realizes it was in perfect condition. He couldn't understand how it went out of control. Frustrated by the failure of his project, he throws his entire sketchbook into the trash. As he looks around in disappointment, something catches his eye: the orb and the crystal. Curious, Henry picks up the earth crystal and places it inside the orb. Suddenly, the orb activates and mysterious force pulls him toward the same mine where the portal to the overworld had once opened for Steve. Garrett, having followed him, arrives just in time to witness this. Meanwhile, back in town, Henry's sister is panicking. Her brother isn't home or at the gaming zone. She calls a real estate agent who helped them move to the area, and together, they track Henry's location to the mine. Now, all four of them, Henry, Garrett, Henry's sister, and the agent, stand before the mine as they try to make sense of what's happening. The portal suddenly activates and pulls all of them in with its powerful vacuum. One by one, they are sucked into the overworld. Awestruck by the strange, blocky landscape around them, they struggle to make sense of their new surroundings. Meanwhile, a native of the overworld sees the open portal and, curious, steps through it into the real world. At the same time, in the Netherlands, the Queen learns that the orb and the earth crystal have returned to the overworld. She confronts Steve and promises to spare his life if he retrieves them for her. Steve, seeing a glimmer of hope, agrees. Back in the overworld, the real estate agent panics and urges the group to return to their world. Suddenly, night falls in an instant and skeleton monsters begin to surround them. They start running for their lives. That's when Henry thinks, if only there were a wall here. As soon as the thought crosses his mind, a wall appears. He realizes that in this world, anything you imagine can become real. Quickly, he imagines and constructs a full room around the group to keep them safe from the monsters. However, Garrett isn't with them. He's still outside, holding the second crystal Henry had dropped. As Garrett tries to enter the room, someone shoots him with an arrow from behind. The earth crystal shatters, and only the orb remains in Garrett's hand, determined to protect it. He makes a run for Henry's fort while being chased by zombies. He scrambles up the structure, but the zombies follow close behind. Just when things seem hopeless, Steve appears and bravely battles the zombies. Thanks to his years of experience in the overworld, he knows what to do. With a snap of his fingers, the sun rises, and the zombies are burned away by the sunlight. Steve introduces himself and tells the group he's lived in the overworld for many years. He examines the orb and is furious when he realizes the earth crystal is broken. Without it, the portal to Earth can't be reopened. They might be trapped here forever. Everyone panics, but Steve tells them there may be one last hope. There's another earth crystal hidden deep inside a woodland mansion. If they want to return home, they'll need to retrieve it. In exchange, Steve asks for the orb. Everyone agrees. Steve warns that reaching the mansion won't be easy. It's a dangerous journey. He takes them to his workshop, filled with tools and inventions he either created or won in battles. There, Garrett notices a strange-looking crystal. Steve warns him not to touch it. Wherever you throw it, you'll be teleported there. Ignoring the warning, Garrett tosses a crystal and is instantly teleported. Now he truly starts to believe everything Steve says. Steve begins teaching them how to craft weapons and tools. Henry quickly grasps everything and even builds a powerful pressure gun that impresses even Steve. Garrett, however, struggles. When asked what he's doing, Garrett admits he's not interested in crafting. What he really wants is a treasure rumored to be buried in the mines, the same mines the portal came from. He promises to give Steve the orb if he helps him find the treasure. Before they can finish their conversation, Netherland monsters attack. The Queen wants the orb and the remaining Earth crystal. During the chaos, Henry's sister and the agent get separated from the group. Steve leads Henry and Garrett to a high cliff and gives them special iron wings that let them fly. He points to a hill in the distance and says the woodland mansion lies beyond it. To test the wings, Garrett pushes Henry off the cliff. At first, it seems the wings won't work, but just before Henry hits the ground, they activate and lift him into the air. Seeing this, Garrett jumps too. Steve hesitates, but as Netherlands soldiers approach, he's forced to leap onto Garrett's back. Before they can reach the hill, the wings stop working and they crash to the ground. Recovering, Garrett asks who the attackers were. Steve explains, they are the Queen's soldiers. Years ago, the people of the overworld mocked her dancing skills, which filled her with rage. She now hates the overworld and wants to destroy it, especially its creative people. That's why she's after the orb. Garrett asks Steve why he wants the orb. Steve confesses, I need it to save my dog. If the Queen doesn't get the orb, she'll kill him and imprison me forever. We then see Steve's dog, sad and alone, missing his owner. Henry's sister and the agent encounter the dog and recognize him by his collar. The dog, sensing Steve's scent, starts leading them toward the group. Meanwhile, Steve leads Garrett and Henry back to the mines in search of treasure. Just as they begin exploring, guards discover them and start destroying the mine. Steve quickly loads them into a cart and rushes them to safety, barely escaping before the entire mine collapses. Once outside, Henry explodes in anger. Your greed almost got us killed. Garrett snaps back. My life isn't as easy as yours. I've lost everything. I'm broke. I need money, and this was my only shot. Steve, understanding his frustration, quietly says, I know what that feels like. My situation isn't so different. The group finally reaches the woodland mansion. Before heading inside, Steve gives them some critical instructions. He warns them that the first floor is guarded by assassins who attack with axes and leave no survivors. The second floor is patrolled by dangerous magicians, and the Earth crystal is located on the third floor, guarded by Endermen. Steve emphasizes, whatever happens, don't look them in the eyes. Their gaze messes with your mind. Henry and Garrett quickly come up with a plan. Garrett enters the mansion first and starts singing loudly to distract the assassins. While their attention is on him, Henry slips past and heads upstairs. A few assassins spot him, but Henry stays alert, dashes past the second floor, and makes it to the third floor without getting caught. While Garrett and Steve fight off enemies below, Henry finds the Earth crystal. Just then, an Enderman appears behind him. By accident, Henry looks into its eyes and starts hallucinating. He hears voices of people from his life calling him a failure, a loser. The illusions shake him, but he regains control of his mind just in time. Gripping his axe tightly, he defeats the Enderman. As it dies, it leaves behind a glowing crystal with teleportation powers. Henry grabs it and reunites with Steve and Garrett outside the mansion. But as they're about to leave, the Queen of Netherland arrives with her soldiers. She snatches the Earth crystal from them and sets off a bomb to stop them from following her. The explosion sends Garrett flying and knocks Henry and Steve unconscious. When they wake up, they find themselves safe, thanks to Steve's loyal dog, who had tracked them down and brought them home. But Garrett is missing. Meanwhile, the Queen uses the Earth crystal and an ancient artifact to activate her dark portal. A deadly beam of energy shoots from a Netherland, casting a shadow over the overworld. Her plan: conquer the overworld and plunge it into darkness. Seeing the destruction begin, Steve is devastated, but determined to stop her, he rallies his friends and prepares for war. They forge powerful weapons and charge into battle against the Queen's forces. Using mini-bombs and clever gadgets, they take down her soldiers one by one. Furious, the Queen summons a massive monster to crush them. After defeating the beast, Steve steps forward to face her himself. Meanwhile, Henry realizes that removing the Earth crystal from the portal will stop the destruction. He quickly loads a teleportation crystal into his pressure gun and fires it toward the crystal. In a flash, he's teleported next to it. Just as he reaches out to grab it, a Netherlands soldier throws a bomb. The blast sends Henry hurtling downward. Before he can hit the ground, Garrett suddenly appears in a hot air balloon and catches him midair, revealing he survived after all, thanks to the balloon. The two of them head straight for the Queen's portal. Together, they destroy the portal wall, which causes the entire structure to collapse. The dark energy vanishes. Sunlight floods the overworld again, and the Queen's soldiers turn into mindless zombies. Stripped of her powers, the Queen makes one final attempt to kill Steve, but fails. Steve and his team emerge victorious. With peace restored, they prepare to return to Earth. Steve, deciding to stay behind, gives his beloved dog to the others as a gift. But before they leave, Henry's sister asks, "Why don't you share your magic with the real world?" That question changes Steve's mind. He returns with them to Earth. Back home, the group start a brand new gaming zone. Henry and Garrett co-develop a video game based on their adventure. It quickly becomes a massive hit. Garrett's financial troubles are finally over. Steve also becomes a business partner in Garrett's shop and performs live shows there, becoming a local star. The film ends with Henry confidently walking into school wearing his jetpack. All the kids are amazed, cheering for him. And with that, the story concludes.